All right. Let's go ahead and take a comfortable seat. Can y'all still hear me?
Cool. Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So go ahead and take a comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you. And we'll just start by taking a couple deep breaths. Let me fix my camera. Okay. So just kind of noticing how your natural breath starts to flow. So maybe you notice breathing in through the nose feels more comfortable. Maybe you notice breathing in through the mouth feels more comfortable. But just starting to take some of those natural breaths, noticing how the breath feels in the body. So noticing if it feels really tight, if it feels really uncomfortable, or noticing if it feels natural and open. Maybe noticing where you feel any movement of the body as you breathe. So maybe you notice your chest rise and fall. Maybe you notice your shoulders lift and release. Starting to mindfully manipulate the breath. So inhaling a little bit more, exhaling a little bit more. Noticing how that shift feels, how that change feels. Inviting the breath into different parts of the body. So maybe starting by inviting the breath to your chest, feeling that chest fill up, feeling the lungs expand. Exhaling, letting the chest fall, contracting. And maybe inviting the breath into the belly. So maybe filling that belly up like a balloon. And then exhaling it, releasing that breath. Noticing where it feels comfortable, where it feels okay. You have a yawn or two. And then whatever pace of breath feels best for you. So whether that's that extended breath or maybe that's that more shallow, natural breath, we'll start to move a little bit with the breath. So on your next inhale, let's start to lift the chin towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, releasing the chin towards the chest. Moving with your own pace, your own breath. Noticing how this feels in your neck. Noticing if it feels good to exaggerate this movement or make it really small. And then we'll start to expand this movement to the rest of the body. So on your next inhale, reaching the arms out wide, reaching your chest forward, lifting the chin up. And as you exhale, curving the spine, coming into a gentle hug. So you're moving your spine forward and back, imagining that cat-cow like movement of the spine. Going nice and slow, really exaggerating this breath if that feels good. Noticing how this feels in your spine, especially if you've identified some tightness, some tension in the spine. Noticing how this is feeling for you. Is it making that pain better? Is it making you more aware of that pain? We'll take one more round. And then nice and easy, release that movement. Come back to that neutral spine. Checking in with the spine, checking in with the neck. Noticing how just a little bit of movement felt for you. And then we'll come to the next movement. So taking a deep breath in as you're looking forward. And as you exhale, turning your head to one side, just like you're looking at someone sitting next to you. Inhaling back to center. Exhaling to the other side. Again, making this movement your own. So if you feel like you really want to exaggerate the movement, you can. If you really want to make this movement smaller, protect the neck, you can. Take one more turn or twist to each side. And coming back to center. And then we'll exaggerate that movement. So incorporating the rest of the spine. So taking a deep breath in as you look forward, exhaling, gently turning the entire torso towards one side. Inhaling back to center, exhaling to the other side. And really let your body tell you when you've you're going far enough in that twist. So it doesn't have to be super exaggerated. Just finding that comfortable, gentle twist to start. Noticing if a twist feels good on one side, maybe you want to stay there, inhaling and exhaling before you switch to the other side. And take one more twist on each side. And then nice and easy coming back to center. Again, just noticing if you feel any difference. And if you don't, that's fine. Noticing how that twist felt in the body. And then we'll come to our third movement and kind of our warm up. So continuing to look forward, we're gonna try and keep the spine in alignment as much as feels comfortable. Taking a deep breath in, and as you exhale, just starting to lean the torso a little bit to one side, starting to lean the head to one side a little bit, ever so slightly. Inhaling, coming back to center. Exhaling, gentle lean of the head, gentle lean of the torso to the other side. Kind of like you're moving with like a metronome or a pendulum. Just noticing how this feels in the sides of the neck. So initially, maybe just moving the head, maybe noticing if that feels like it's a little too much, and then moving the torso. And maybe starting to make this a little bit more exaggerated. Maybe bringing one hand down to the ground, the other arm up and over, and then switching sides. Noticing if you start to hold your breath at all. Just trying to keep that breath flowing. Maybe starting to draw a half circle out in front of you to transition to the other side. Just getting a little bit more stretch in the back. And again, just noticing what feels okay and what doesn't. So if anything I've suggested or offered, your body is saying, nope, go ahead and let that go and go back to a point where you do feel more comfortable. If you notice that your shoulders are feeling especially tight this morning, you can also, as you lean to one side, take gentle circles forward and back. Paying special attention to the side body. And take one more gentle stretch on each side. And then nice and easy, let that go, coming back to that comfortable seat, that neutral spine. And then going ahead and taking the legs out long in front of you. So we're gonna start to get a little bit into that low back by way of our kind of outer thighs, that IT band. So we're gonna start by just stretching out, opening up the hips, and hopefully loosening out that outer right thigh. So we have that one band that connects from kind of the outer thigh to the low back. So trying to work on that. So I'm gonna start with my right leg, but you can start with either. I'm just gonna take my right foot into my left hand and my right knee into my right hand, just kind of like I'm holding a child that I will never have. So I'm just gonna rock my leg from side to side. Nice and easy. You can move with your breath here. Set that nice and slow pace. If you feel comfortable adding a little bit, you can bring that foot into the elbow. If your leg is like, nope, that is not cool, you can let that go. Maybe making circles, so getting into that rotation of the hip. And then we're gonna cross this right foot over the left leg. So where the placement of the foot is really just wherever feels most comfortable for you. So you can bring it closer to the body, you can bring it further away from the body. And then we're gonna hug this knee, this right knee, towards the body and start to twist towards the right. So we're really opening up this leg. Trying to keep the spine as straight as feels comfortable. So I'm using my right hand as kind of a kickstand. Making sure that you're breathing.
I'm having trouble with this move.
So how are you, what's giving you trouble? Let's say.
Okay, so I have a hard time crossing my feet over. Now I can. Whenever I cross it over, I'm very much tilted to whatever side it is.
One side?
Yeah.
Okay.
My thighs are very big. So it's just like the sheer mechanics.
Yeah. So
of
I
it.
wonder, so is it like are you leaning more towards the top side? So like say, for example, your right leg is crossed over. Are you leaning more to the right or to the left?
So if my right leg is crossed over, I'm leaning very far to the left.
Okay.
So like this is me crossing over this leg. I put it over here, but then I'm stuck like this.
So do you have a blanket?
I do.
I wonder if, so let's see if you're over to the left.
I also have the blocks, which are very helpful.
I wonder if you try bringing folding the blanket and bringing it under your left, like butt cheek or thigh to lift it up to see if that balances. If it doesn't, I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Does it feel like it's
I can do this.
a little bit better or no? Yeah?
A little bit better. I'm gonna put a block under my right butt cheek.
Okay. Because essentially, when you are overcompensating to one direction, you want to bring padding in that direction to even out so that it's like overcorrecting.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yeah. Is this right? Eh,
Yeah, so now it looks like you're leaning more. Let's see. So take the block out and then try it with just the blanket. Yeah, that looks better. How does that feel?
It's okay. I can't hold it
Okay.
for too long, but it's okay.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So it's not necessarily about how it looks per se. It's more about how it feels. And if you can't hold it for that long, that's fine. The other option is bringing your foot to the inside of the leg. So instead of crossing it over, bringing it to the inside and starting there. And then twisting. Do you feel like bringing your foot to the inside of your leg is more comfortable?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit? Okay, so let's work there by bringing the foot to the inside and then gently coming into that twist. So we'll just take, let's say, 2 rounds of breath. And then nice and easy release. We'll bring the legs out long again. And if you notice when you're sitting, like if you're leaning too far forward or back, so you can like bring blankets under the legs to even out, right? So sometimes like if it's really uncomfortable for me to have my legs straight, I'll bring up like a rolled up blanket under my knees so that my low back feels comfortable. So feel free to like make those adjustments, right? And just let me know, like call out when something doesn't feel good and we can figure it out. So then we'll go ahead and come to the left side. So we're going to do that same series of movements on the left side. So I'm bringing my left foot into my right hand, my left knee into my left hand, and just starting slowly rocking side to side. So we're just going to start from side to side, just kind of getting that opening of the hip. And this doesn't have to be a super wide, like windshield wiper movement, right? It can be smaller. It's really just noticing what is going on in your hip and how we can kind of start to open it up. Maybe taking the knee in circles so that we get into that rotation. And then we're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and just bring the foot to the inside of that right leg. And if you feel comfortable to try and cross it, you can. And then we're going to do the same thing. So we're hugging this left leg in and gently turning towards that left leg. So just as long as feels comfortable, just making sure that you're breathing. We'll take one more deep breath in. Exhale. So Jamila, I want to know, how does this side feel similar? Like when you cross it, you start to lean more to the right, or?
I didn't try to cross it. I just did the pull up. Both sides are hard. I think for me, I had more feeling when I did the circles, when I put the one knee underneath and I did the circles. That was a little bit, I wouldn't say easier, but at least I felt different things. This one is pretty hard for me still, but you know.
Okay.
I'll keep at it.
No, that tells me that, so that tells me that this IT band might be tight for you, right? Because if you're saying this feels harder than this. Yeah. So when we're here, we're stretching this outer right thigh that comes into the low back. And you said your low back, you feel like tension, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Because here it's the hip. So your hips are probably a bit more open than this band. Okay, cool, that helps. Okay, so we're gonna take the legs out long. If they feel tight, you can shake them out a little bit, just tap them out. And then pushing your heels out so that your legs kind of turn on, right? So the muscles are activated. We're gonna inhale, reach the arms up, and then as you exhale, folding forward, just letting the hands reach wherever they do comfortably. And if you want to bend the knees or bring like a rolled up blanket under the knees so that you can maybe reach a little bit. So generally, so I won't say this is how everybody feels, but generally when we bend the knees a little bit, we can get into that lower back, feel that stretch. When we straighten the knees more and fold, you get more into that hamstring, right? And the calf muscles. So
do we put it under the knees directly? Sorry, under the knees or in?
Yeah, so if you want to you can bring blocks or blanket. I would suggest a blanket because it gives a little bit more cushion. Sometimes the blocks can be a little bit harsh with these like joints. But yeah, you can bring it under the knees and then start to fold forward. So that will, when you bend the knees, you can get a little bit more into that low back stretch. You might not necessarily feel it straight away, but it is working a bit more in that low back area. And that might also give you a little bit more room to reach the hands further if that's what you want to do. But if your hands are on your shins or your knees or even your thighs, that's totally fine too. And making sure you're breathing. So even as we're folding forward, we're still breathing. And then nice and easy, we'll release. We'll move that blanket out of the way. You can bring your feet together. You can bring the feet further away from the body or a little bit closer, whatever feels most comfortable. And then we're gonna do kind of the same thing where we're gonna fold forward. But this time we're gonna try and keep the spine a little bit more straight. So rather than just kind of curving over the legs, we're gonna try and keep the spine straight. And we're gonna try, like we're bringing our sternum or our heart towards the feet. So we're coming a little bit more straight and then allowing the spine to curve. So again, you can bring your feet as far from your body as you want to, or as close to your body as you want to. Generally, the closer the feet, the more you're going to get into the hips, into the inner thighs. The further away, again, we can get into that back, that low back area. So whichever version feels more comfortable, more accessible. Maybe swing the torso from side to side a little bit. And then nice and easy, we'll release, bringing the legs out long. How did that feel for you, Jamila?
It was good. I put the blocks under my knees.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, so anytime we're sitting in a way where your knees are out, you can always bring blocks, pillows to help support the knees, because you know sometimes it can be too much. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and turn to come to a tabletop or to our hands and knees. If your knees are super sensitive, like if you have a hardwood floor like I do and you need a little bit extra padding, maybe your mat is a little thin, you can use a blanket to support your knees too. Just putting the blanket, you can fold it as many times as you want to, and just bring it under the knees, just a little extra support. So we're going to try as much as possible. So again, making sure physically we're feeling comfortable, that our wrists and our shoulders are just about in line, our knee and our hip are just about in line. Again, if it's not exactly there, but you feel comfortable, that's fine. And we're gonna go through a little bit of cat-cow. So inhaling to look forward, let the belly fall. Exhaling, curving the spine, letting the head and neck be loose. So I'm going to turn on my side to my side for a second to show you. So you want to make sure you're not like dumping into the shoulders. So right now I'm just kind of letting my chest hang out. I'm not really activating anything in my chest and my shoulders, but I want to bring, so you can imagine your shoulder blades, like right now my shoulder blades are more towards each other, right? It's like I have a penny or a ball or something in between my shoulders that I'm holding on to, but I want to separate the shoulder blades. So this starts to engage my shoulders a little bit more, gives me a little bit of space. Also, I feel it in my collarbone. So I'm really kind of activating those muscles before I start to do my cat-cow. So instead of being here and just kind of, you know, flipping through, I'm separating the shoulder blades, really turning on those muscles, and then lifting and releasing. So again, it might not feel great. And so finding some kind of middle ground where you're still activating some muscles, but something to work towards maybe. So we'll take a couple more rounds. And if you find, especially with the knees and the hips, if you find that being in that alignment is not feeling comfortable, you can also take the knees a little bit wider. So almost like when you sit back, a V shape of the knees, that's okay too. So really kind of looking at how these postures are feeling physically. We'll take one more round, inhaling as you look forward, exhaling. And then we'll come back to that neutral spine, that flat back. And then you can go ahead and bring the knees towards the side edges of the yoga mat, even bringing the big toes together if that feels comfortable. So we're making that V shape with the legs or with the knees. And then we're going to keep this right hand planted on the mat. And as you inhale, reaching that left arm up. So we're gently opening, rotating to the left. So just going as far as feels comfortable. So if you're really able to rotate, that's great. If you're not, if you feel like you're kind of here, that's fine too. That's great too, right? Really moving with what feels best. We're opening the shoulder, opening the chest. And on your next exhale, we're gonna weave this left hand behind the right, gently come down. If you have a pillow, you can bring it so that you can lift the ground up to you. You don't necessarily have to be completely down to the ground. And then we're gonna move. So instead of being kind of stagnant here, we're gonna move so we get a little bit more stretch, a little bit more movement in that upper back. So again, inhaling, opening up to the left, exhaling, gently weaving, and just moving with your breath. So going nice and easy, nice and slow. And this right hand, you can bring it a little bit further away from your body if that gives you more space, gives you more room to move. We'll take one more round. And a nice and easy release. Coming back. If you want to sit back for a second, rotate your wrists, especially this right one that we've been kind of leaning on. Maybe making an infinity symbol, a sideways figure 8. All right. And we'll come back to that starting point. And then we'll keep that left hand on the mat, on the ground. And then again, inhale, reaching that right arm up. And then exhale, now we're weaving that right arm behind the left. So again, if you want to move that left hand forward a little bit to give you more space. Inhaling to open up to the side. Exhaling, gently weaving. We'll take one more round.
I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
Oh, my legs are killing me.
It's your legs that are.
Yeah. I gotta
Okay.
get off of my knees.
Okay.
Whew.
So from here, we're going to transition onto our bellies.
Okay.
So you can go ahead. If you want to keep the blanket on your mat, you can.
Okay.
And then we're just going to come to the belly. So taking your legs out
I'm
long.
stuck. Give me 1 second.
Okay. No problem. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
All right. So letting your legs be straight out long. We're gonna bring the hands under the shoulder blades. Inhale, pressing into the hands, gently lifting the torso. So lifting it just as much as feels comfortable, right? So maybe here, if you feel like you want to lift it more, you can. And then exhaling to release. So we're going to do that 2 more times. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to release. One more time. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to release. All right, so you can go ahead and bring your hands under your forehead, kind of stacking them to make a pillow. And then bending your knees, and we're just going to take the legs from side to side, just like windshield wipers. Making sure you're still breathing. All right, bringing the feet back to the ground, bringing the hands back under your shoulder blades. Inhaling to lift. Exhale to release. 2 more times. Inhaling to lift. Exhale, release. 1 more time. Inhale to lift. Exhale, release. You can bring your hands again, and then we're gonna bend the knees, take the feet from side to side. All right, go ahead and release the legs back down. So we're gonna do one more posture. It's called Sphinx pose. So we're gonna bring the elbows about in line with the shoulders. Bringing the hands as flat as feels comfortable. So my forearms don't really rotate as much as most people's do. So I can't bring my hands super flat. There's still a little bit of lift. So if you can't, like if your hands still feel like they're not even touching the mat, that's fine. And then we're just gonna look over to the left side. Coming back to center, deep breath in, over to the right. Back to center, deep breath in. One more time to the left. One more time to the right. And then come back to center and release. If you want to bend the knees, bring them from side to side. All right. And then from here, we're just gonna turn over onto our backs. So take your time, find your way to lie down on your back. And if you want to have a blanket close by, a block close by, make sure you have those near you so you don't have to get up again or like shift too much to grab them. Can you see me okay? Just let me know if you can't see me very well or hear me. I guess that's more important. All right. All right. Once you're comfortable or once you're ready, we're just gonna notice how it feels to lay on your back. Notice if any point in your spine still feels tight. It totally might. That's okay. One session of stretching is not going to solve everything, but maybe you notice that some areas of your spine feel a little bit better, a little bit more open. Maybe taking the knees from side to side to create a little bit of space in the spine. All right. So bringing the feet flat. So go ahead and get one of your blocks. We just need one. We're gonna come into bridge pose. So we're gonna use the block to support the spine. So we don't have to hold the hips up, right? So bringing your hands down by your sides, bringing your feet just about in line with your hips. We're going to take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, lifting your hips just as high as you want to, just as high as feels comfortable. And then you're going to grab that block and at whatever height you want to, right? So it can be the lowest height, the middle height, the tallest height. I recommend either the lowest one or the middle one. Just bringing the block under the hips and making sure the block isn't too high or too low, right? So if you feel like a pinching or just like, oh, that placement is not cool, you can move it a little bit lower, a little bit higher. I generally have it like right above the tailbone, but right below kind of that dip right above my butt cheeks, basically.
Okay.
And if the block feels like it's too much, you can also switch it out for a pillow if that feels like it will be more supportive. And again, you know, I would recommend the middle height or the lowest height, because this highest height is just, it's way too much. Like, that's just showing off for anybody who does that. And feel free as you're in this posture to notice, oh, this doesn't feel great. Let me adjust it. Let me come out of it. We'll take 3 more rounds of breath. You can bring your hands to the belly, inviting that inhale into the belly. So like you're filling it up like a balloon. And exhaling. One more round of breath. And then as you're ready, we're going to lift the hips a little bit so that we can take out the block. And bring the hips back down. And then you can take the knees a little bit from side to side, or you can bring the knees towards the chest and go a little bit side to side, maybe taking the knees in circles one way and then the other. Or just bringing them towards the chest, just, you know, hugging them in a little bit. And then nice and easy release. So we're going to do one last movement. So we're going to do a spinal twist. So I'm going to give you a few different options. Feel free to try out as many of them as you want and pick which one will feel better in your body. So one option is to take both knees, kind of hug them in towards the chest, and then take them over to one side. So that's one option. The other option is to hug one knee in, take the other one out long, and then cross that single knee over to one side. So that's option 2. Option 3 is So you're taking one leg out long, you're taking the second leg out up towards the ceiling. So you're making an L shape with the legs and then crossing that lengthened leg out over to one side. So that's option 3. Whatever one feels best in your body. There's no right or wrong. It's just whatever feels good. Once you get into that comfortable twist, you can take the arms out to a T if you have the space, if it feels comfortable. And then you want to turn your head in the opposite direction of your knees. I like to take one hand to my knee to give it a little bit of extra weight, a little bit of extra pull. We'll just take 2 rounds of breath. And then nice and easy release. Coming back to center. Finding your center, maybe shifting your hips forward and back, up and down. Taking a breath. And then we can switch to the other side. So same options, right? So you can take both knees over to one side. You can hug one knee in, the other leg out long, cross that leg over, or you can make that L shape and cross that foot. And again, you can bring your arms out to a T, turn your head to the opposite direction of your knees. We'll take 2 rounds of breath. And then nice and easy, let go. So we'll come into Shavasana. So again, I'm going to give you a few options because I often cannot lie flat on my back. Like my back feels too tight, too tense. Even after a whole class, like my back is just not having it. So what you can do is take that blanket, roll it up if you want to. So it's kind of like a long round support and bring it under your knees so that your knees are lifted. So that allows your low back to be a little bit more flush, a little bit more flat with the ground. You can also do that with blocks. So maybe bringing blocks under your knees. If you have a chair or a couch nearby where you don't have to move, you can bring your legs on top, right? So the idea here is to get that low back to be flat. So putting up as many layers, as many, as much height as you want to feel comfortable. And if you're lucky enough to feel comfortable without any of that, that's great. And you can also, so like I usually put these, I usually put the blanket under my knees, but you can move it a little bit lower, maybe bringing them under your calf muscles. Just noticing where it helps your back, right? Where your back can be flat, but comfortable. And then we'll just take a few breaths here whenever you're ready. Just letting your body relax. Noticing where you still feel tension in the body, where maybe you were able to release some tension. starting to bring your awareness back to your body, maybe wiggling the fingers and the toes, maybe taking circles with the wrists, with the ankles. Reaching the arms up over your head. Maybe bending the knees and taking them from side to side. And then whenever you're ready, finding your way back to your comfortable seat. So taking your time.
That wasn't so bad.